What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another week of our little fantasy thing. So let's get right into it. Mr. Improv Pete, thank you for joining me. And are
Pleasure's
you
all mine.
ready? Is the question.
I'm always ready. When am I not ready for fantasy football?
Well, that's a good question. So, what games did you like this week?
Oh well, it
Oh, should we
wasn't the
just
Saints
backtrack
Giants
to be
game.
like,
That's for
what
sure.
games did you watch this week? I guess would be the real question.
Well, I watched the Saints Giants,
There you go.
and that was painful.
Uh,
But it just furthers my point why Taysom Hill should be the quarterback. 2 touchdowns.
yeah,
Look great
running.
on the field. It's just we just can't get our shit together with Saquon, which it was a statement that I said Saquon was going to have a game. He did have a great game.
Mm-hmm.
So good for fantasy players there.
Great for the Saints defense. Oh wait, nope. I mean,
Yep,
great for fantasy owners there. Yeah.
that's exactly it. But besides that, I want to also talk about the homecoming of Brady. Obviously, a little bit shaky in the beginning, not the best, but of course, Brady became Brady in the second half and showed why he
Mm-hmm.
is the greatest of all time. Also, passing Drew Brees and passing yards. A
Yep.
little bittersweet on that, but I would hope so since the man's going to play till 50.
That
But of
is
course, the
true.
Bucks came back, but a very ugly win. I feel for the Bucks, very ugly.
That game was ugly, yes.
But besides that, any other notable thing? Let's talk about Arizona still being undefeated. It stays with my original thing, saying that my God, Kyler Murray can do no wrong on that team. He is
Maybe.
definitely the quarterback to watch. He's the quarterback to have in fantasy. Major points, just
Uh,
domination.
yes and no. Obviously, there's other quarterbacks putting up points too, but yeah.
But like I said, hey, I feel like he should have been a top 3 quarterback. Of course, he was, I believe, like 5 or 6, perhaps during the towards September draft. But definitely, those are some key games that I definitely saw. Again, the Bills also. Shout out to the Bills domination.
Well, let's do a little change up. We're not gonna run through every game this week.
Of course, of course.
Because we're a little pressed on time, and B because you know I'm not gonna lie. Even though I watched the games, there wasn't anything that memorable that I'm like, oh my god, this game did that, and that game did that, and that game did that. So,
Mm-hmm.
well, let's get into this week, and then we'll talk about our play them, sit them, drop them, trade them
So how
aspect
about
of
that?
life. Yeah, that'll work. So as you can see, tonight's a big game. NFC West battle. You're very high on
Especially
Russell
the Rams
Wilson.
coming off of a loss.
Well, yeah, their offense looked back to Jared Goff days, but here's a big thing now in that game. Robert Woods seems to be supplanted as the number 2 guy.
Agreed.
So is it time to panic on Robert Woods?
That's a good question. I think that it's very hard to judge this week, being that Seattle is the home team. You got to have that 12th man. I mean, it's going to be tough, but it definitely has to be that he definitely has to produce, and he has not been the producing on that team. I mean, I believe he's been getting about 8 to 11 points, but not to the craziness that he's used to getting. I mean, Cooper Cup definitely is one that has been getting the ball. You have Henderson getting the ball, but it's also something that the Rams still figuring out who Stafford likes over there, who he's going to choose. Um so it's going to be tough. They need to before taking that. So we have a little problem with Jrush, so just bear that in mind while we fix him and have him get back on this wonderful
Well,
podcast.
we'll be cameraless, I guess, for some reason. Whatever.
Oh, no worries, no worries. At least the people can hear you. But I was just saying that, with Stafford at the helm, it's really tough because there are a lot of weapons on that team. People talk about Tampa Bay, which of course Tampa Bay does have the weapons, but you should also be looking at the Rams. Cooper Kupp delivers. I mean, Henderson has been, even though he had that one bad week where he was taken out, he still has been producing. So it's not like the Rams are, what's the word I'm looking for, at a loss for receivers. It's just Robert Woods needs to have that big game. He has to establish himself as the number one receiver on that team. But
Well,
right now,
here's the good and the bad is for non-fantasy wise, he's a great blocking wide receiver. Fantasy wise, that does nothing for you. So you're not going to get him off the field. So the good news is he'll be on the field. The bad news is he's not getting the ball enough. So
I agree with that. But now, since like you said, we're pressed on time and we're not running through this, but definitely going a little bit on a faster route. Seattle takes this game 100%. I'd say by at least 10.
at least 10. I don't know what you're drinking over there, but I'm pretty sure the Rams are going to take this game, especially coming off a subpar outing. But that's why
Obviously the
we're
Rams
here
have
to
something to prove
debate.
with their big loss, but I do think being in Seattle and the Seahawks are a better team than they're showing right now. We know that Russell Wilson can throw. We know that Lockett's been there. We know DK Metcalf. I mean, you have the weapons there. They're in Seattle. It's a Thursday night vibe. I think that Seattle definitely. Well, I feel like they'll get a knock, but obviously you say the Rams, so agree to
I'm
disagree. Then I say, sir.
gonna give you the other reason. Chris Carson's banged up, so that
Yeah,
takes a
but I
lot away.
mean, Chris Carson. When I think Seattle, I don't think Chris Carson right now. If
Yeah,
you're
because you
thinking,
want
if
Russell
you're on
Wilson to
Seattle
throw
and
the
you're
ball.
thinking Chris Carson, you're insane. Now, if you said to me, "Hey, talk to me about somebody on the Tennessee Titans," I would obviously say Derrick Henry. But when I think, like I said, of Seattle, I'm not thinking of Chris Carson. I'm thinking of Russell Wilson. I'm thinking of Lockett. I think those are the heavy hitters. And depending on how this game goes, I mean, if Henderson does run amok, they have to pass the ball. And Henderson is a great running back. We've seen with him and his production that I think that if they do, it's going to be a throwing game. So Chris Carson is not going to be an issue because, yeah, he's banged up. But if they run the ball like the Rams can do with Henderson, I don't see why they would need Chris Carson in that role this week. Have him heal up, take the week, and then have your wide receivers go. Show me why we have great wide receivers in Seattle.
I feel bad because I got some more names for you. Then I don't know if you heard either one of these. Is Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. You might want Chris Carson to play because Aaron Donald might just kill Russell Wilson, and Jalen Ramsey's going to shut down Lockett. So you may need Chris Carson a tiny bit. But anyway,
Well, I want to know in the
enough
comments,
out of
guys.
this.
Let us know who you think's going to win because clearly me and Joe can't decide. Is it going to be Seattle being the home team? Is it going to be Rams? Drop it in the comments. Let us know.
Nice Twitch buffer. There we go. Go ahead, next. Cowboys
Next,
Giants.
what a great game up next. I mean, I'm pretty sure we
Another
can agree on
division
that.
battle. Another division battle.
Indeed, another division battle. But really, can we call it that it's going to be a great game? We have the Cowboys at home versus the Giants. Now, big whoop-de-doo. The Giants won a game. Shocker, shocker. But let me tell you something. Dallas has been the forefront in the NFC East. I think that Dallas is going to be the one to easily sweep that division.
I don't know if they'll sweep the division, but they certainly could win 5 games. But yeah, then this game is in Dallas. Not that that means a lot. This is kind of a statement game, though. See if Barkley can keep his momentum going. See if Jones can keep it going.
If Jones can, how does that look for Giants?
Well, we've already seen this the last couple of years, so they may be back to the drawing board with them either drafting or signing a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers may be available next year, so not saying
Could
he'd
you
want to go to the
imagine
Giants.
Aaron Rodgers in New York? I cannot.
I could see him in New York. I don't know if I could see him. Not that I'm saying he'd go to the Jets, but does he want to go to the Giants? You want the big stage, but neither of those teams, providing anything around you that give you any incentive to go there. But with Jones, Dallas has a corner who leads the league in interceptions. So is that going to take away Kenny Galladay this week? Is he going to be a running quarterback again, or can he lead this team for 2 weeks in a row? I mean, I'm fairly sure the Cowboys will win this game. They did have a big cut. They cut Jalen Smith, but he wasn't starting anyway, so not a major deal. The Cowboys defense wasn't great anyway, but
I want to just quickly touch on that. Obviously, we'll talk more when it comes up to the Panthers, but the Panthers, I believe, signed him to a 1-year deal, if I'm correct.
no, that was Gilmore. They got
Oh, Gilmore,
Gilmore
my
from the
apologies.
Patriots.
That's what I.
Smith went to the Packers, so you can touch on that in 2 more games.
Sounds good. Well, let's go to the game of the week in nobody's eyes: the Jets and the Falcons.
Well, it'll give you something to do at work because that's a 9:30 a.m. game for us.
Oh yeah,
So
that's the London game, if I'm correct. Yep.
that is the London game, so it'll keep you entertained while
Doing all the fun
baking
stuff.
baking brownies or whatever you're doing. But yeah,
I'm
it'll give you a
saying.
little something.
Uh,
So in that game, we'll break it down real easily. The Falcons, 2 of their wide receivers aren't playing, so this could be 2 wins in a row for the Jets, which is actually very sad and weird feeling. Like I don't know how to feel about this. I think I'd rather them just lose, play good and lose. But I feel like they could win this week now. All of a sudden, no Ridley, no Gage. Maybe they'll actually use Kyle Pitts for once in Atlanta or on Atlanta, I guess.
wouldn't that be the day?
They drafted him not to use him, I guess.
Packers, Bengals. Bengals is at home.
Yep. Now we can get into yours. Packers signed Jalen Smith from the Cowboys, who was a pretty good player. Lost a job to Mike Parsons and some others. I don't think he'll play a ton this week. And the Bengals, Joe Mixon's hurt, so they may not need to really play him this week anyway. They can get him some touches and specific downs. But overall, should be a good signing for the Packers. And then we got, even though the game's in Cincy, and Cincy has looked much better than they normally do, I think this is a Packers slaughter.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. The Packers offense, assuming they don't play like they did week 1, might blow that Bengals defense out of the water.
Respect. So definitely play some Packers players for you guys this week. Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones is a must. Moving on, we have Vikings versus the Lions. Vikings are home.
See, I hate this game because I feel so good about the Lions offense, and then Sunday hits and they play, and then it's like, where's the Lions offense? And I feel like a lot of that may just be Jared Goff. He did fumble like 17 times last week, it felt like, and every other week. So I would love to take the Lions, especially with a spread pick 'em, but I cannot trust Jared Goff. And all of a sudden, Kirk Cousins, not all of a sudden, but Kirk Cousins is more of a relevant quarterback for fantasy this year with Jefferson going off and obviously having Thielen. Cook being banged up doesn't help, but it didn't hurt him either.
So you could definitely see this game maybe going 50-50 at the present time.
If Jared Goff wasn't the Lions quarterback, I would pick the Lions in this game, but I could see this game being another 10, 13 point outcome. Vikings by 10 to 13.
Okay.
So, especially if Cook is good, like good, not like, okay, I'm playing, but I'm, 60% type of deal. Because the Lions aren't there yet. They're getting there, but they're not there yet.
Does Hawkinson have a big game?
If they want to stay in the game, he has to. That team is a tight end, 2 running backs, and a sprinkle of receivers. On any given week, it could be Cephas, it could be whoever, but it's got to revolve around Swift, Hawkinson, and Williams. And if it doesn't, like they didn't have a monsters week last week, and guess what? Lions didn't win.
Steelers, Broncos. Steelers are at home.
And that is the only reason why they are favored. Steelers have not looked good.
Not at all. I was going to say, big talks with Big Ben, And is it something where this is Big Ben's done? Is he past his good old prime? Is this probably the last year or two we'll see him in
Certainly
Pittsburgh?
past his prime. Done. Oh, he's done yet. He's getting there, but he doesn't have what he needs, and that's protection. This guy's taking hit after hit after hit every single year. So yes, that's wearing on him. You could say, oh, Ben's, 30, I think he's 37, 36, 37, and Tom Brady's 87, and Tom Brady's still playing elite. You know what? Tom Brady doesn't get hit, and that's the difference. They protect Tom Brady, and if you hit Tom Brady, you're getting a penalty for it. So nobody hits Tom Brady, hence he can play football till he drops dead. Ben got hit and hit and hit and hit, and the mobile quarterbacks, they get hit, and that's why they break down and don't last as long. So is that a factor? Absolutely. Can he get the ball down the field? Right now, absolutely not. And their check down game has been their thing. They have no running game. They have no deep game. So it's very hard to pick the Steelers even in Pittsburgh.
And let's not take away from the Broncos. The Broncos have been looking good this year.
Yeah, the Broncos have a very good defense. And, that's not an understatement at all.
So definitely, we're looking at the Broncos here. I think that's unanimous across the board. What is also, I think, going to be unanimous is the Bucs versus the Dolphins. Dolphins has looked like shit.
They have not having. I'm not saying Tua's the answer either, but not having their starting quarterback has definitely held them back. And they also another team without a running game at the moment. Myles Gaskin does not look like Myles Gaskin last year, so that's hurting. And I think
what's also hurting is Gronk is not playing.
Oh, I was going to bring that up and look at the Patriots offense. I don't love Gronk, but look at the Buccaneers offense. Look at the Bucs offense when Gronk's played, and look at the game he didn't play. And they barely beat the Patriots. That's where I was attempting to go with it. Now you're not going to have Gronk again. You got everybody else, but I think this is more of a maybe we took last week a little light because of all the good vibes around Brady returning and all those things, and maybe we, okay, maybe it's the weather or whatever. Guess what? This game is being played in Florida, so unless you get those Florida showers, it should be decent weather. So there's no reason that Tampa can't run it up in this one.
Who has the big game this week? Godwin, Evans? Who are they going to?
I think it's starting to lean back towards Evans. So with that being said, Evans is going to get 2 catches. So I'm going to go with Antonio Brown on this week.
I like that. I like that choice.
I think Antonio Brown will be the guy. I liked how they were using Evans last week. Granted, it wasn't pretty, that game, but I think Evans should be the guy. Evans might get Howard, and and that could force the ball the other direction, and that's why I think the other two, specifically Brown, will have a bigger week.
Saints, Washington.
God, is this even a game? This is Washington wins this game by 40 at this rate.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Oh, I mean, Taysom Hill should be starting at quarterback. All the things.
That's the right answer.
I feel like I have to bring this up every week. Where is Alvin Kamara?
You're not wrong.
Can anybody tell me why? He was a third ranked running back in fantasy, and the team without. So is Michael Thomas not there making that much of an issue, or is it because Drew Brees isn't there? Is that the issue? What is the issue? Callaway started to show up.
Callaway has not been getting the receiving yards.
He showed up last week, but then he got hurt, I believe.
Yep.
So I don't know what that is. I haven't looked into that to be honest. But for the reason why Alvin Kamara is not showing up is why I think Washington will actually win the game. Even though you are the Saints fan, just because Washington has Terry McLaurin, they
Yep.
have Gibson, Logan Thomas is on the IR, that hurts them. But Ricky Seals Jones can produce. He's done it in spurts, and maybe he'll do something this week, maybe not. But either way, they have weapons. Curtis Samuel's back. He
Hmm.
didn't do a ton last week, but you know what? It was literally this was like last week was his opening day essentially. So now he's getting back, into form. So they have some weapons. If Heineke doesn't get reckless with the ball, Washington's offense can get it done. Washington's defense has been the issue, so it's really more like can Washington's defense stop the Saints' offense, or can Saints' offense expose Washington's defense?
So really, coming at the basic point of this game is this the Alvin Kamara game that we need to see?
Absolutely. It was last week where the last two going on to 3 weeks of where you need to see from Barkley, now you need to see from Kamara. Their defense hasn't been what it was the year before. Chase Young is their best defensive player, but he's a guy who chases the quarterback down, not chases Alvin Kamara down. Yeah, he does make big plays every now and then, but he's more of a pass rush than a run stuffer. So he needs to wake up.
All right, let's continue. Panthers Eagles.
If this was 2 years ago, I would have been like, where the Panthers were this year, the Eagles of like 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
where they were better. Now the Eagles, I don't know what to trust. They don't use Miles Sanders. Jalen Hurts can boom or bust at any second.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I would like to say that this should be a fairly easy win for the Panthers, and I feel like it will be because the Eagles need to show something. They need to show their offensive identity. Their defense isn't what it used to be. So I think Sam, which is sad as it sounds, Sam can expose them, and he may be a viable fantasy option this week.
Ooh,
Again,
that's a big one.
he's up in our league. He's ranked seven.
Yep, yep.
He's the seventh quarterback in a 12-team league, which means realistically he's a starting quarterback. So,
And the Panthers coming off of that loss, they're hungry to get that W back. They want to
and here's
stay.
something else: is Christian McCaffrey may play this week. They're talking
That's it.
about maybe not. That he wants to play. They may give him another week. I don't think they need him this
Not
week,
against I would agree with that.
but you could see Christian McCaffrey this week as well, and that would definitely change things even more.
I think if we see Christian McCaffrey, you're definitely seeing a Panthers big win there.
I just don't see the reason for them to play him. Because okay, you get him in a game field, get him the touches, but what happens if he hurts himself again? Give him that an extra week. You know, you guys are in good shape. There's also an extra wild card. I understand that you have a good team, really good team in your division, but there's an extra wild card. You'll be all right.
Yeah, that's fair.
And they
Moving
did,
on, we
as
got
you wait, as you brought up earlier, wrong player, but right thing. They also landed a top tier cornerback, and they got Gilmore from the Patriots. So that's gonna hurt because I'm gonna assume he's gonna play. That's gonna hurt the Eagles' offense. They're more of a pass heavy team. That could hinder their offense even more. So between McCaffrey and Gilmore, that could change things dramatically in that game.
fair. Tennessee Jags.
What a disaster Tennessee is. What a
Is this a
disaster.
major point week for fantasy players who have Derrick Henry? I mean, major point week.
Well, let's backtrack again. Ryan Tannehill has been more of the issue. I understand Brown and Jones didn't play last week. But you also need to understand they played the Jets. The Jets. Not, you know, the Rams, you know, whoever. They played the Jets. Derrick Henry did his job. He ran for over a buck 50, which is expected. Ryan Tannehill can't be turning the ball over multiple times a game. I understand a turnover, things happen, bad snap, a deflected pass, something. The Jets had 6 sacks. The Jets don't sack quarterbacks ever. That's the most sacks they had a game since I believe 2018. So what are the Titans doing? Do you have to give Derrick Henry the ball 60 times a game? Like, I don't, you're going to kill the guy, but what is Ryan Tannehill doing? What are they doing? A.J. Brown should be back. So it should be an easy win. Jaguars are wrecked. Their coach is getting lap dances. Whatever else is going on over there in Jacksonville.
Robinson's the only one on that team.
As of right now, absolutely, because Chark's hurt. So, there's no reason that Tennessee shouldn't stomp all over Jacksonville.
All right, moving on. Patriots Texans. Texans home.
This is a yikes. Texans have been horrible. Obviously, not having a starting quarterback or a second quarterback, realistically. The Patriots also didn't look great. Again, you credit that to the weather from last week. It was rainy. Now we're playing indoors in Houston. And again, Patriots just traded their best defensive player. So this is a week that you're salivating about. This is a Brandon Cooks week.
That's 100%, 100%.
Can they keep this game close? Honestly, I think so.
I see this being a field goal.
Only because I'm not sure the Patriots know what identity they have anymore with Mac Jones. What are you? What is your offense? And now you trade away your best defensive player. What is your defense? I feel like they're lacking in identity. Some teams, get away with that where you're like, okay, I wish I had my camera on so I could make hand gestures, but we're a team, we play as one type of deal. But like they legitimately, even if okay, I get it, it's a Belichick team, blah blah blah. You had Tom Brady. You could easily identify Patriots, Tom Brady, Patriots. You don't have that anymore. There's no Tom Brady-esque. There's no defensive player that you're like, oh my god, this guy is a shutdown player. That Vince Wilfork. Granted, he wasn't the biggest name in football or the best player in football, but you could identify these guys like, okay, these guys are Patriots. Now you look at these guys and you're like, who? What? Who's this guy?
You have Edelman gone. Like who are the Patriots trying to find their identity? 100%. I do think that Brandon Cooks will be on fire this game, and that's why that is one of my safe predictions. You got to play him if you do. You got to play him.
Well, here's my dumb fact of the day. So Myers is the best receiver on the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
He has more passing touchdowns in his career than he has receiving touchdowns. So explain that one. Then that's what I mean. Like, where is your offensive identity? Your best wide receiver. And don't get me wrong. I think the last 2 weeks he's gotten double-digit fantasy points. He's literally doing that without scoring touchdowns. He has not scored a touchdown in his career receiving. What other team has their? What other team? Yeah, this has got to be the week. But what other team? Hopkins coming up. We're like, oh my god, our best player doesn't ever get touchdowns. Didn't work for the Falcons when they stopped using Julio Jones in the red zone. They didn't start winning games. Mm-hmm. So why can you not get your best receiver into the end zone?
That's fair. Now, I've been waiting to talk about this game. Okay. The Raiders and the Bears.
I want to hear where you're going. I was just going to throw it out here real quick. They now named Justin Fields the starter.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Is he the answer to the Chicago Bears? Yes. Montgomery is out.
Yep.
Is he the answer? Is it time to shine for this man, Justin Fields?
He's going to prove why they took him. I'm not saying he's going to go off and become the next Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be a step below that, I feel, but he's going to prove why he's a legitimate quarterback and might be the best quarterback that came out of that draft. And guess what? He didn't go one or two or three or four or five. He didn't even go in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
But he was highly touted for a reason. And I think here's where he's going to start showing why. I don't think he needs to run the ball 20 times a game, but I feel like that first week, the offense wasn't meant for him and they just improvised. Now they can legitimately game plan to his strengths.
Raiders,
So,
you don't think they're not going to produce? You think it's just going to be the Justin Fields show, even though the Raiders are home, obviously.
oh
in
no, I
New
didn't say that. I'm just saying is we're talking about Justin Fields. This is the Justin Fields, like, okay, this is now my team. Let's get some bootleg plays. You're not getting Andy Dalton out of the pocket. You're not, hey, we're gonna run a play action where you sprint 20 steps to your right, with Andy Dalton. You can now do that with Fields. And the reason they can and probably will do that is because it shortens the field. He only has so much to look at. You're not forcing him into, oh, I got to go through 5 progressions and try and make a play. You're opening up. You may see a lot of 2 or 3. Today I can't win. You might see a lot of two player routes where it's like Allen Robinson, Cole Kmet in a route type of deal because there's no Montgomery. Where option A, option B, if it's not there, run or throw it away. You might see a lot of that now.
I want to throw a stat at you.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Derek Carr, #1 in passing yards this year so far. Better than Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Tom Brady. He is 13.99. Do you think he's going to just dominate by throwing against the Bears?
It certainly could. You've seen that the running game's a little banged up. Obviously, they've drafted wide receivers year in and year out, so why not put them to use? Can't cover all of them, and he does have one of the best tight ends in football, so that definitely helps. You got Ruggs, you got Waller, you got Edwards, you got Renfro. Put them to use. I see no
He has
reason
been.
not to. Yeah, and that's, I see no reason not to. It's not like the Raiders are winning games, 38-7, where they're just milking the clock out. They're in, they're fighting in these games. They got exposed last week, but there's other factors that could be behind that, but they got exposed last week and they need to right the ship. And this is the week because now you got a rookie quarterback on the other side, and they're, I would still say it's a 50-50, but probably their best playmaker also not playing. So now you're just looking at Allen Robinson.
I will go out on a limb and say this is definitely the most intriguing game for me this week. Just to see how Fields does, see how Derek Carr is going to continue because he has been dominating the passing game. So I'm very curious to see how this game goes about. I definitely see it being by a field goal 100%.
Well, like I said, this is going to be the Bears' first chance to actually have their offense molded around him because the first week he played, Dalton got hurt. The second week, which was last week, he started, but everybody practiced that week. Dalton practiced, Foles practiced, he practiced. So there wasn't, it wasn't specifically Justin Fields. This is now the first week where hey, this is your first team offense. Let's go. So this is the week where he needs to, step up and whatever he's going to be. Is he going to throw for 250 yards and run for another 50, or is it going to be throw for 150, run for 100 type of deal?
That's fair.
If he does neither, then not panic yet, but then the offense needs to be worked on some more. This one coming up is the next two. I think really the next three
I think,
are
yeah,
the
I was
ones
going to
that
say
I
the
have
next
most
three
interest in.
are definitely going to be conversations right here. So let's start off with the Chargers and the Browns. Chargers are at home. How do you see this game going, sir? Mr. Herbert over there is doing some crazy shit over there.
I think this is a Browns game. Their running backs are just too powerful.
Now, let me
You know.
throw some stats at you. Number 2 in rushing
Oh.
yards is Nick Chubb, right
Mm-hmm.
behind Derrick Henry, which shouldn't be a fucking surprise there. But Nick
Uh-huh.
Chubb, and you got Kareem Hunt, you got that duo. Brings me back to the Kamara and Mark Ingram of yesteryear of the Saints. You got that double run. I don't think the Chargers are going to be able to stop the run. I mean, you got Austin Eckler, obviously great running back, and you got Keenan Allen. But I mean, I agree with you with that. This is the Browns game to show why they are in contention for a playoff spot.
Oh, and I say this not just because I drafted them, but because this is what they need to win. The Chargers need to find a way to get Mike Williams the ball more. He had 2 points last week. That's not going to be their recipe for success. You can't solely rely on Eckler, and you don't have Hunter Henry no more. Not that he barely ever played, but you need to get he's your playmakers the ball, and you can't be reliant on one or even two of them. They need to find a way to get him the ball to even have a shot. And I don't even mean this week. I just mean in general. You're in a tough division. You need to the more the better when it comes to that division. You need to put up points.
That is correct. So I think Browns are the team we're going with here.
Yeah, you know what you're getting with the Browns. So you're gonna
But
get
you
the
also
running
know what you're
backs.
going to get with the Cardinals versus the 49ers when the Cardinals continue their undefeated streak because Kyler Murray is the best quarterback today.
So now here's where I'd get concerned. Trey Lance is legitimately. I don't want to call him Kyler Murray, but he's pretty much Kyler Murray. He can take over this game himself too. Can JJ Watt contain him? Can the Cardinals defense contain him? Because if they can't contain him, this is gonna be a shootout, and that could go either way.
Number 1 in receiving yards is Deebo Samuel on the 49ers.
Hmm.
I'm just going to throw that stat out for you right there. So, yeah, you got Hopkins, but Hopkins is not in the top 5 for receiving yards this year.
Which is expected. They spread the ball out, and they have three named
Of course.
receivers.
Of course. But I'm just saying, for the 49ers, you have to target Samuel. So,
Yes, but the other difference is with Jimmy Garoppolo back there, he's not running wild. Trey
mhm.
Lance, and they said it a couple weeks ago, they have packages for him in the red zone when Garoppolo is playing because he's their best chance to score a touchdown. Now you got him out there every play. That's going to change up the Cardinals defense big time. We already know what the 49ers bring on defense. They want to be a little bit more smash mouth, hit you hard type of defense. So I could see this game either going either way. Trey Lance can light it up, or Trey Lance can absolutely flop. So it's which happens. If you're a betting man, which you willing to bet is the question. Obviously, we know where you're going.
Obviously, no need to be said. But I think this will obviously be a close game, as well as I think the next game is going to be, I think, a shootout, but definitely a close. I think an overtime game easily could be seen with the Chiefs Bills.
Even though I'm a Jets fan, I don't want to say I root for the Bills, but I respect what Buffalo's doing. I want them to keep it a close game. I
You
think
want, but
though,
you don't think?
if the Chiefs can get rid of these one or two bad Mahomes throws a game and or the fumbles, I think they're just too much to handle still. And now you've got dun 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 the best six wide receiver in the league. Josh Gordon will be active for this game to fill in, as their fifth or sixth wide receiver at this rate. So that just adds another dynamic for a player too, where he could take one to the house. I don't think he's
Mm-hmm.
going to do anything, but I'm just saying is it's there.
Tyreek Hill, number 2 in receiving yards, had a great week 1, had a great week 4. Week 2 and 3, respectable, but not the numbers he puts up.
But when you put
Will
up
he have a
190 in a
big
week,
game against the Bills?
it certainly could happen. There's no one else. I mean, he didn't have outstanding weeks, the middle weeks, but outside of him fumbling, really, nobody's really stopped him. You know, I just think he's the hardest player to contain in football right now. And having a quarterback who can bomb the ball all over the field, I think that's just too much.
5 touchdown passes, right? Yep. 5 touchdown passes from Mahomes last week.
Mm-hmm.
Insane. But looking at my stats here, just give me a moment. Nothing else crazy that I could see. Let's wrap this up with Ravens and the Colts.
Dad, let's hear you, because then I'm gonna break the stream.
This is honestly a game that I don't know. I don't know what will I mean. Yeah, I don't know. Well, the Ravens are home, so I will give the edge to the Ravens, but I could see this game definitely being a very low-scoring game too. I don't see much from either side on this one. I mean,
Yeah,
looking at the Colts are 1-3, and the Ravens are 3-1, so obviously Ravens should be favored. But I feel like the Ravens should have this game pretty much in the bag. But we'll see. We'll see what Lamar Jackson we get this week.
so we pick with the spread, and I took the Colts because what you said. I think it's gonna be a low scoring low scoring one score game. Even if it was a touchdown, they push, so it doesn't matter. I the Colts offense can put up a couple points. Obviously, the Ravens offense can put up a couple points. These defenses. Somebody needs to do something. Somebody needs to stop someone, and that's I think going to be the difference is whichever defense can make a play in this game. Whether it's a fumble, Jackson running loosely with the ball or something like that, or Carson Wentz getting sacked and fumbling. I think that's what the game's going to come down to. Like I said, neither defenses look great this year. Somebody's got to step up.
All right. We're cut on time. I just do have one question for you, Mr. J. Rush.
Go ahead.
Just out of
Enlighten me with these
curiosity,
questions.
show the people your knowledge. Tom Brady this past week has beaten all 32 NFL teams or franchises,
Mm-hmm.
I should say. Who
Yep.
are the only other 3 to do such a feat?
Beaten all 32? Because I feel
No,
like
who are the
32 is
3
not the number.
quarterbacks that Brady has joined in to defeat every NFL franchise?
See, because that's a bad question because you could add quarterbacks, when there was 16 teams, beating every team. So I'm just going to let you go. I'm sure Breeze is one of them.
Oh, obviously. So we have Peyton Manning, Brett Favre,
I
Drew Brees, and Tom Brady.
would have got Manning and Breeze, and then I figured it would have been like an old school guy from the 70s or 50s or black and white, and been like, okay, sure.
Of course.
I guess
of
I could
course.
understand Favre too. He played in that division, but
But I want to thank you, Mr. J. Rush, for joining. I know we were tight on time, but week 6, of course, you could always drop a comment down below. We'll be able to answer for you guys. Give us some trade ideas like last week that Neil
Yep.
gave us. So, of course, remember that. Hit that
True.
subscribe button, like the video, hit the bell. so you know exactly when we have our live show coming up every Thursday. Of course, check out the other stuff on the channel. I got some little nightmares the first hour. Got some other some stuff going on over there. I got the final Smash Brothers announcement. I mean, if you're into Smash Brothers Ultimate, why would you not be? Fucking amazing last character. But thank you, Mr. Joe, for joining me.
Thank you, even with all my issues over here.
Hopefully, we'll get you back up and running next week. But until then, have a wonderful fantasy week, everybody.
Peace.